Hi, everyone. My name is Travis Balinas, and I am based in Austin, Texas, but our company was originally founded here in Sydney, and our office is literally 2 blocks from here. I forgot all the banners, so I had to go back this morning. Anyway, I wanted to kind of bring to you a set of knowledge and just, we operate in the world of e-commerce, and so our daily lives are spent on figuring out what trends are driving the way people shop, what new technologies are getting relied upon and expected throughout the shopping and buying experience. And really, our mission is to help brands go from where they're at today to actually scale further to where they aspirationally want to get to. So today's talk is really just about high-level trends that we've been seeing, both on the brand side and on the consumer side, that really great to just share and start implementing into your strategies. Sorry. All right, so found this stat online. It was a Medium article. It was really interesting. But basically, 95% of your shopping decisions are all subconsciously. And so what your brain does is that it tries to make an intuitive decision that's then communicated via an emotion to your conscious mind. And then your conscious mind says, okay, cool, that thing happened, I felt this thing, now I'm trying to justify it with logic and reason. And so that's very cyclical as to how we shop online. And so expectations of consumers and shoppers online in general are shifting. So it's great, you've got a website. That's huge. It's great, you've got a website that you can shop on. That's huge too. That has been pretty typical for the last decade or so. And consumer experiences are no longer, like, if you want to lean into this very emotional-based reaction, rather than just like, I've made the conscious decision to start shopping, but rather, I was already browsing and shopping happened to be part of that experience. That's the big horizon here. And so expectations are no longer, I've made the decision to go view a website, I've made the decision to start shopping, but a blended experience. And so content and commerce just very inextricably linked. But the big point here is that there's no silver bullet. It's little components that you can add to your strategy that help level this up. And so this is a quote that I didn't want to butcher, and I also didn't want to just read off the slide. So yeah, sorry, it's super cheesy and attributed to me, but yeah, it's no longer a transactional activity. It's an end-to-end emotional experience that results in a positive customer response that results in site traffic, loyal brand consumer, and a very happy user that tells friends. So 3 things that I want you guys to get from this session today. Wow, this looks like 6 with the dual screens. So 6 things I want you to learn. I want you to gain knowledge from just what I have to ramble on for the next 40 minutes about. Discover references, and apologies, I tried to mix in as many Australian brands I could think of in my references, so I'll provide the context for the brands that I'll kind of show you. And then just learning how to implement these into your own brand, your own experience, and everything that you guys know how to do well. So first one is building your trust funnel, and I have a slide at the end that shows my dogs, but literally those are my dogs. I've got 2 big English cream golden retrievers. So as I was saying, content and commerce aren't separate anymore. And actually, the great part about WordPress is that you guys have dominated the world of content. SEO is baked into your DNA. Like that's something that can't be replicated, that brands that are typically just on the commerce side are desperately trying to figure out how to replicate these days. And so, excuse me, you guys already have a leg up in that this is the community of WordPress. Brands are actually actively trying to play catch up now. So historically, commerce-focused brands, think the industry titans of the world, like Procter & Gamble, things like that, they're trying to lean into the trends that are actually putting them in a tough spot, like Dollar Shave Club or Stray Whisker, or these packaged consumer or consumer packaged good models that sell direct. So, have you guys been bombarded with you should buy this mattress in a box online ads, or possibly have bought one. I've personally bought 2 in the last 5 years. That's the type of model that you guys can lean into, because it's not that I made the decision to go shop for a mattress. It was an ad was put in front of me that shows, like, the favorite mattress company that I like is Purple, and I just love seeing the egg drop tests onto their Purple springs. And so, like, I never asked the internet to show me if an egg can survive me landing on top of a mattress, but that's what was put in front of me, and it led my curiosity to go, wait, hold on, what is this? Oh wait, you had engineers from NASA build this thing. You've got a patent, and all of a sudden I have all this information, and I'm well down the purchase funnel for something that I wasn't even in the market for, but it was an emotional response to this cool experience that was kind of put in front of me. And that's what you're trying to recreate within your brands and on your sites. And to that end, millennials are well, they're annoying. I'm one of them, so apologies. But we've grown up in an era where we've been bombarded with ads. Like, our entire existence has been the model of, you get this free thing at the cost and expense of ads. And we're very good at responding to those in a negative way. And so you have to actually put something in front of this generation that actually makes them want to learn more, that educates them, that creates, a certain type of value for them. Excuse me, I'm gonna get some water quick. A good example of this is, have you guys consumed the website The Wirecutter? It was actually bought by the New York Times, and it's one of these things where, again, they do product reviews, and not just like, oh, I reviewed this product, but like, they tell me why this person is important. They added all this context about their history and how they were an audiophile, or they were a homemaker for 20 years, or they're a nanny, and it's basically a thesis on why I should buy this ironing board. And I say that because I literally bought an ironing board out of the compelling nature of this content. And so that's kind of like the crux of all this is, you got to educate people, and like being consumers of information makes it feel better as a person that, hey, I have now connected that emotional response to the experience, paired it with content and information, and now the logical outcome is, yes, I definitely need to be buying this. And so you can create that for whatever your brand is. It's not limited to just $1 of the month razor clubs or mattress in a box, but did we ever think that we'd live in a world where you'd be buying a mattress in a box online? Probably not. So 3 brands doing this well. Again, 6 brands, I guess. These are all, actually, I don't know where the first 2 are based, but Uncrate is a site that gets about 1.5 million views a month. They have a record of over 9,000 products that they've sourced across the globe. And what they do is, they're not just saying, hey, we found this cool thing, come buy it. They're writing content around these things. So like, hey, weekend camping trip in a tropical climate filled with rich photography, information on how to do proper like tent setup. And then guess what? There's a link to, hey, you can buy this tent, or you can purchase this flare gun, things like that. Gear Patrol. Let's see, this is an interesting one, because on the flip side of the legacy kind of shopping or merchant side, trying to add content, you also have the inverse, which is, how do I make the shift from being a very content-centric site and adding commerce into that experience? And Gear Patrol is actually, they're a Hearst company, so like the Hearst Global Magazine conglomerate. They do the same thing. They painstakingly shop for the right products. Let me see what they call it. They said they're pioneers in what they call product journalism, which is kind of interesting, because there's a whole market now around being a journalist and writing about cool products that you've found that, like, it doesn't matter if you're the first one to find it or not. The fact that you took time to compare it to other things, to write up a thought piece, to give your perspective on it, and then actually get that affiliate link and that commerce experience back to you. So the more that you can link content and commerce together, the better site traffic you're going to have, the better conversions you're going to see for your business, and yeah, it's pretty cool. So recap of this, educate and build trust, stop advertising products, kind of change your model on how you do that, and build trust through content and experiences. So second one, this is instant gratification. I'll spare you the dolphin right now. So like it or not, expectations of shoppers online have been set outside of your control. There was never a meeting that assembled and said, hey, we're all going to now offer 2-day shipping for free. It's basically a world in which you're like, crap, how am I going to compete with that? And the answer is, it's not something that you have to compete with. Amazon came up with the model that free 2-day shipping is their version of best. And for them, best equals getting your products to you as fast as you can for the cheapest. That doesn't mean that your business has to lean into that, cut into your margins, ruin, your profits for the year. But you have to define what's best for your business, and that can take many different forms. So, overall goals for defining what's best, you should be memorable. You could try to save people money. You make their shopping experience more convenient. And so I'll get into that in the example slide. But it's important to remember, too, that even after you've made that sale, your branded experience doesn't end there. So just because you aren't offering free 2-day shipping, maybe you offer $4.99 flat rate shipping that gets it there in 7 days. As long as you can be upfront about what parameters you're setting, people are fine with that. But you have to deliver within those if you want them to come back and have that be memorable. Deliver something that's unexpected. Get a box. Again, I'll show you on the next slide, but there's a story behind this shirt too. So you want the experience to continue after sale, because if it's just a transaction, they're not going to remember you. It's more of a utility that you've provided for them, a means to an end to get an object that had no emotional impact on your life. And so your version of best should extend even beyond getting them to your site and having that transaction take place. And then, the third point is don't hide anything. So what I mean by this is, if you aren't offering free 2-day shipping, that's fine. You just call out the terms. Have your terms for shipping be quite logical. Have your return instructions be favorable. Make yourself available to your customers. There's a reason why, like in the States right now, all the customer service companies of Silicon Valley are IPOing like crazy, because guess what? Optimal customer service, timely responses, and friendly voices on the other end of the phone are really critical in ensuring that people have the entire brand experience, because buying something doesn't stop there. It's an entire process to get them to come back to you. So these 3 brands are, again, I apologize, not Australian brands, but they all have really unique stories and kind of interesting ways of what best is for their brand. So Dazadi or Dazadi, I honestly don't know. They sell foosball tables, they sell ping pong tables, pool tables, large objects that have plenty of assembly required, possibly freight. Like, why would you try to sell that online? You would think that you would just go to a sporting goods store, but they've been in business selling online for over a decade, and they crush it, because their version of best is, first, okay, obviously big items, they provide freight shipping. So if you're ordering, pool tables for this building, that's going to be a doable thing. However, what about the moms and dads that are trying to surprise their kids at Christmas with a foosball table? They've thought of that. Their version of best is at checkout for like Christmas time, you can actually select like Secret Santa delivery, and you put in special instructions of like when your kids are going to be in bed, and they'll show up at that right time, help you sneak it into your garage, help you assemble it in your house. Like, these are all services that you can pay for. And so it's that extra added touch of like, wow, that was totally unexpected and a huge relief for parents. Jenny's Ice Cream is kind of a cult brand in the U.S. for ice cream. They've got very few locations, but they're expanding, and it's ice cream for hipsters, but it's delicious. They sell ice cream online. Like, we live in a world where you can sell ice cream online, and I kid you not, when you get a box of Jenny's Ice Cream, first of all, they took time in, all right, we're going to spend X cents more to get this very posh white box that has very, tactile, like you've got to own the experience from when you pick it up at your doorstep to bringing it in the house. And so you open this box, and all of a sudden it's lined with orange on the inside, and it's like, wow, unexpected. And there's, the styrofoam lid. It could have just been styrofoam, but it's branded Jenny's, and you lift it off, and it's just like this puff of like dry ice that just comes up, and it's really cool. If you order ice cream from them, you definitely go, wow, this was an experience that I want to even just tell my friends about, or like put it back in and so I can Instagram it for later, or send it to somebody as a gift because they're going to get that same impact. And so their version of best is that experience. And then Robert Graham is, well, the shirt that I'm wearing now. And these are kind of shirts where I really like to see them in person. And they had a flash sale because I've bought so many things from them. And so I got invited to this, website where it just dropped the price significantly. And I bought the first 2 shirts from them online that I've ever bought. I normally buy them in retail. And it was like opening up a new Apple product when I got it. It had like this white box. There was a little tab that had like like little embroidery and paisley on it. And you pull it out, and it was just like gold tissue paper, and they were sealed with a note. And it was just like, wow, like this felt special. Like the excitement that I had for this shirt was then just multiplied by like how much effort they put into making sure that when that arrived, it felt as good as it did buying it in the store. And so find out what your best is and do that. So this recap is, meet or beat your shopper expectations, brand your post-sale experiences, and be honest and reachable. So as you're gaining traction with your brands and trying to figure out how do I get, maybe you're at that point where you're like, hey, we're doing 10,000 in sales a month, or maybe I'm trying to get from 1 million in sales a year to 10 million a year. You've got to start looking at what the different channels are. And so I'll preface this by saying that, I understand that Amazon is kind of having the same success as Starbucks did here. So don't knock me for that, but I'll speak to it regardless. But there's a lot of interesting things going on with the titans of the world. So there's a reason why Facebook, Amazon, Instagram, Walmart, they're all radically investing copious amounts of cash into their products, because for these types of businesses, whoever owns the most data, the most digestible, dissectable, sellable, targetable data in the world is going to win in the eyes of Wall Street. And the winner in the eyes of Wall Street is going to trickle down to what brand consumers trust or rely on and go to more frequently. And so regardless if you agree with their approach to their business models or not, they're happening. That doesn't mean that you can't benefit from the work that they're putting into it. So when it comes to things like Amazon has built now an ad network within Amazon, because they know that when you search for backpacks and there are 9,000 options, like your backpack that's listed at line 8,000 might not have the visibility that somebody at the top would. But guess what? For $5 a day, you can advertise for a specific keyword for backpack. So all of a sudden, you're a recommended brand. They're recreating what Google does with PPC and paid search and things like that. Facebook's doing a really interesting thing right now. So last 2 years, they literally opened up an office a block away from Amazon headquarters in Seattle, and they've been hiring engineers, product managers, developers for the last 2 years. And so they've got a team of about 200 to 300 people right now that are working on Facebook Marketplace. So Facebook Marketplace is Facebook's answer to Amazon. They want to build a network where a brand can come and connect. And rather than like when you're scrolling through your Facebook feed, it's your friends. What if you had the equivalent of scrolling through brands that you've shopped for before, and you can see almost like in real time, like a new blog post. Oh, they posted this new pair of socks, or hey, these shoes are kind of cool. And the redirects are killing them, and so they want brands to come to them and plug into this. So again, money being spent to try to facilitate sales is something that you can and should be leaning into. And then shopping on Instagram, that's been just a runaway success. And so You can now, much like you would tag a person on Instagram, you can tag a product, and that shopping experience takes place right within Instagram. And so it's now live in, I think, 45 countries, and yeah, it's really cool. And then what else did I have in here? Yeah, no, that was about it. Brands doing this well, and I swear there are Australian brands in my presentation. We'll get there eventually. But Spearmint Love sold baby clothing, and they started as kind of like a hot mommy blog. Like, there were a lot of tips for new mothers trying to figure out how to raise a newborn child. And what they did was they started creating clothing, and it kind of took center stage for their business to create awesome clothing for babies. And what they did was they actually leaned into Facebook ads, shopping on Instagram, and even before Facebook Marketplace, just selling directly on Facebook. And for them, so we worked closely with them. I'm trying to get the numbers right. Yeah, they had 14% return on their ad spend, and it actually had a 12% year-over-year growth for their business when they just started spending money on ads and advertising, not the products, but rather the cute kids wearing products, or moms really would benefit from this, or just it's that emotional appeal. Native Union, they make awesome secondary or third-party iPhone cables, cases, things like that. They're a brand that's actually doing quite well. You can buy them. I don't know in the Apple stores in Australia, but in the U.S., they're one of the higher-end third-party products. They started selling their products directly on Instagram. So this is what I'm talking about, where you tap here, and rather than a redirect out to a third page that you then have to click through and do that, this pops open a new page, and right there you can shop and complete the transaction within Instagram. When they turned this on, they had a 26,000% increase in traffic from Instagram to their pages, and that resulted in a huge increase of revenue. And then Beach RC is, if you happen to enjoy remote control car racing, this is, you can get really into this. So there are thousands of parts and accessories and things that you can do to build up, your different kits. And they were selling direct on their site and doing just fine. And they went, hey, maybe we should sell on Amazon, connected their product to selling on Amazon. And they, within the first month, they averaged adding $17,000 in sales per month, which almost, it was like 171% increase in their overall sales for that year alone. And so all of a sudden, they're finding markets of people that they didn't know existed and continuing to build their own kind of overall customer base and customer funnel through networks that have made it easy for sellers to start saying, hey, my website's my hub, but what if I could attract audiences from these different channels and continue to grow my strategy like that? So, recap here, don't fear Amazon, especially for ads. And, I didn't even mention fulfillment by Amazon. But yeah, just the ability to lean into, let's say you did want to do 2-day shipping for free. Use FBA, it's a great option. Facebook Marketplace and shopping on Instagram, and then optimize for Google Shopping. So, as I was mentioning in the very beginning, the worlds of content and commerce are now inextricably linked. And for me, that blending results in experience. And experience can mean different things depending on what your brand is. So, selling tangible goods online is difficult. So, how does somebody who sells a sofa, something that you're going to sit on every day after work and has never been sat on before and you've never touched the fabric, how can you possibly sell that online? There's a lot of things that you can solve through an emotional response. Again, going back to the mattresses in a box, there is a way to tap into kind of what is the feature plus responded or expected outcome that you want from this. Obviously, with a mattress in a box, it's, okay, it is a king size, it is softer, it comes in a box. Those are all features, but the benefits are it cradles your spine, it supports your back, it comes in a box. And like, how do you recreate that online? And so you got to make shoppers feel something. And two examples of this that, you know, are just perfect examples, actually, Red Bull and like GoPro. Like, they've gone full on with experience. Like, they've created a lifestyle. And so when you think Red Bull, you think energy, high octane, like high extreme sports. With GoPro, you think outdoor activity and, you know, people doing awesome things. And if you've ever bought a GoPro like me, it's turned into more like, what does my dog do during the day? Or, but, you know, they've sold me on that experience to the point where I went and said, yeah, I definitely could go kayaking over a waterfall. Like, that's in my bucket list. In addition to having that emotional experience that, you know, kind of relates to an activity, you also want to make sure that the experience of actually navigating a website is as easy and as simple as possible. And if you can add something of value that is just kind of differentiated, because everybody's got a hamburger menu, everybody's got a mobile responsive site. I hope everyone has a mobile responsive site by now. Scrolling is simple, but you can do unique things, and I'll show you on the next slide, where there's that fine line of, is this too cheesy, or is this, you know, something that added a unique quality to my site experience that kind of differentiates me from the next person over? And then the last bit here is personalization. And honestly, the best way to personalize site experiences is through automation. And common misconception is that doing site personalization for shopping is difficult, and it's granular to the point where, like, okay, I know that he is based in Sydney, he is 26, he has bought X, Y, and Z. Like, you can get that granular, and big brands do, but to do personalization at you know, a level that's maintainable for, you know, what level of business that you have today, it's simple things. I would honestly start by like going, okay, who has bought something from me in the last year? This is a cohort. From that cohort, how many of those people have bought 4 things in the or 1 thing per month in the last year? That's there. And then from those people who buy frequently, who are my big spenders? That's another cohort. And just something as simple as that, you can personalize shopper experience. So there's tools out there that you can use to say, cool, this person is a frequent shopper. At checkout, I'm going to tag them and make sure that when they come back next, they're going to get invited to, you know, a special site, or they're going to see a 20% coupon. Or even outside of the web experience, just having that list of people that you can send special offers to through email, or when they buy something, they get, you know, a set of sample products in their box that they weren't expecting. Just little acts of personalization that you can add that make people go, oh wow, that was cool. I feel valued. I feel like this brand cares about me and what I'm looking to do. So 3 examples of these kind of different experiences. Like, again, how do you sell headphones online? Headphones are, you know, very specific. I know you can go demo them at, you know, electronic stores, but like Skullcandy is they're the kind of brand that, like, they aren't competing with the Boses of the world. If you want Bose, quiet comfort, you know, that's the executive brand. That's how they've positioned this. Skullcandy is deep, immersive, so all their colors are rich, they're vibrant. They really make you feel like you're like in them, in the experience. And so they push that, you know, deep bass experience, and their site kind of conveys that throughout. Zenni Optical, before I had LASIK, this is again that borderline of cheesy versus, you know, practical, but they balanced it perfectly. So you can upload a photo of yourself and try on glasses. Like, that's pretty cool. Like, how else am I going to try on glasses or know how they're going to look on me if I haven't done something like this? And then finally, an Australian brand, but Bohemian Traders, they do a lot of personalization, from the cohort segmentation to rewarding their customers, etc. Yeah, so personalize, make browsing enjoyable, and reward your best customers. And then finally, mobile. This is perpetually a trend, but, you know, one thing that is just, yeah, I like this image a lot. But with mobile, gosh, I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah, Google. Yeah, so Google now factors in mobile site speed into their organic ranking algorithm. So anything that you can do to show that, your pages load faster, whether that's, okay, I'm using correct CDNs around the world that can load up images faster, or maybe you're using Akamai to optimize image size so that when it loads on your 3G connected internet phone, it's in kilobytes, not a fully immersive image, things like that. When visitors get to your site, how quickly can they find their way through your pages? How quickly do pages load? That impacts the overall both experience of the user and how Google wants you to rank. And then making their exit as fast as possible. So did you know that, this is a crazy stat, there's a reason why it's very difficult to find reports on mobile cart checkout abandonment online, because nobody wants to talk about it. A good conversion rate for somebody who has made it to the shopping cart on a mobile device and completes a sale is anywhere from 1% to 3%. It's ridiculously low. And so everybody's doing that where, oh, I heard this thing online, or I'm in transit and, I got there and it's oh, I don't want to fill out my information. Anything you can do to help that, add, an autocomplete tool to help speed that along, have social logins to help fill out information faster, any type of mobile payment wallet like Amazon Pay, Apple Pay, Afterpay, things like that. Anything to streamline that experience will help you convert more there. And 3 examples of this. Really Nation, it's buying shoes online. Shoes are very particular. You have to choose your style, the materials, the colors, the size. And for something that has so many different facets that you can choose from, they've done an incredible job of streamlining just the checkout experience, or the start to finish experience for buying a shoe online and making sure that you got the right size and feel good about it. NATO mounts, they sell magnetic in-car mounts for your mobile phone. So you've got a little sliver of magnetized plate, pop it in your car, and you're off to the races. They built their entire website. Their desktop site is not the greatest, but that's because they built it entirely focused on mobile. And they advertise on Instagram and Facebook, and that's it. And they do millions of dollars a year. And anything that they can do to increase the speed at which you can check out, get in and out of their site quicker, they will. And so that's why they have Amazon Pay and Apple Pay, and these are all based on what type of device you're loading. Maybe they have Google Pay if you're on an Android device. And then Zephyr is, this is literally just a mouth guard for helping with snoring and sleep apnea. But they get all their business from advertising on podcasts and ESPN radio and things where it's an audio-based ad. And where are you listening to that? You're in commute. You're pretending to work. You're on your mobile device. And so they made it stupid simple to check out. They put it right on the homepage. It's made for that. So with mobile, optimized for speed, definitely install the Google AMP plugin. They're not paying me to say that, but anything that you can do to lean into the giant that controls search to help optimize your site for better organic availability will definitely be well received. Simplify your site nav and checkout, and lean into mobile wallets if you've got them. And that is everything. So there's my dog picture in case any of you were wanting that.
Okay, now it's time for questions. So please raise your hand and speak in the mic so we can get it on video. So anyone have any questions for Travis?
Hi, Travis. Chris Mundy. Is there any way, or has there been any study into the trends of Australian online buyers, e-commerce buyers versus US buyers?
Yeah. For Australian markets, it's, so Afterpay is becoming increasingly popular. The adoption, I wish I would have or could have invested in Afterpay a few years ago. Just the speed at which it's gained traction and adoption across Australia and New Zealand is kind of incredible. And then, I can't even remember what the shipping, get back to me, I'll have to look it up, but basically, the way you pay and the way you get things delivered are the two big things for Australian merchants that they care about.
Hi. Hello.
Hi.
To execute like mobile checkout to be quicker, how would you go about that?
What we've found is a one-page checkout is probably the most efficient way, just because you're not typing in information, clicking next screen, like, okay, is it guest or whatever? No, next screen. Fill this out, next screen. The more that you have to load, the more the drop-off happens. So one-page checkouts are great. If you can incorporate buy buttons to your actual product pages so that you can actually use these speedy checkouts like Apple Pay or Amazon Pay, that's a good thing. As far as just like the technical side, that's not my side of house that I can answer appropriately.
Hi, Travis. I noticed in a lot of your examples there were e-commerce sites that sell physical products. What trends are there for companies that sell digital goods?
That's a good question. We don't do digital goods as well as we do physical goods, and that's just something that we've never made a focus of our business. So honestly, my answers are just guesses at this point. So yeah.
Is there anybody else in the room that might sell digital goods themselves that has experience to share there? I feel we probably do have plugin developers, theme developers, people that are selling that kind of thing. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elliot. I sell digital software. Was there any specific question that I could?
Just the trends in the past couple of years in terms of optimizing.
Yeah, I think from a developer's point of view, creating the easiest step-by-step process or the easiest kind of flow through the checkout, and through the generation of like API keys, download tokens, and improvements to the kind of account area where someone can log in and view where their kind of their plugins have been activated, stuff like that. That's where I've noticed a lot of requests and feature requests have come through for kind of improvements in that area.
What software do you use for digital sales?
Yeah, so I choose WooCommerce. Super easy to customize, but I know easy digital downloads is a really great solution as well. I haven't played with that. I just know that you can get anything done with WooCommerce. Super easy to use.
Hi, Travis. Your dogs are
Oh.
really cute. So I just tried to buy something online, and I bailed at the shipping because the shipping was a whopping $21 for 2 candles. So, what is the buy-in for having shipping included versus shipping surprise at the end of the process? Like, are there any stats on people bailing because of shipping shock like this?
Yeah.
Are there any stats around that? Like, what are the sort of the ideas around that, or what's
Yeah.
best?
What's best around that? In my experience, and you're asking me for stats on the spot. Let me pull up some things after, and I'll get those to you. But no, first, having options. Obviously, if you're a small business and you're selling candles, and your margins are not great because you're just getting started, you do what you can. Whether that's maybe you offer a flat rate shipping and you kind of eat some of the cost. Maybe you connect to a different, like in the States, like if you go through something like ShipStation or Shipper HQ, you can get better discounted rates as a merchant for delivering things like this to help offset some of your costs. And then the last thing is actually just providing options. So as long as it's not, that is my only option, $21 for candles, you can kind of curb that a little bit, but yeah, it adds to the overall abandonment for sure.
Yeah, can I just, so I should be a bit more clear on my question is it better to include the cost of shipping and see the prices as more up front? So the candle could have been $30 instead of $20 and shipping's included.
Yeah, definitely.
Because like the candles were $25 and the shipping was $21 and it was the cheapest option. So it was a bad experience, and obviously I bailed on it, but I've like where they say free shipping, but then they've bundled the cost of shipping into the actual prices. So there's a markup, significant markup on
Gotcha.
the actual items that I know I can go to the shop and buy it like $5 or $10 cheaper. I find, like personally, I'd rather see the prices up front, but
Yep.
I find that it jumps around depending on what retailer and how you're buying it and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, if it's a brand that is across multiple retailers and it's a physical product that you're just reselling, that's going to be a tougher margin to compete with. If it's a unique product to you, definitely bake in that shipping cost into your product price points up front. And like I'll just give you this example. I know, like, why do I know about the world of shipping and selling musical instruments online? I don't know, but musical instrument sales are very particular. Like there are just razor thin margins, and so some way that people are competing around that, because like if you get a Yamaha piano and everybody in the world has that, it's a race to who can get that indexed on Google first. But the price points have to be within a few dollars, and so it's tough to kind of be the dominant player of somebody who's selling the same piano around the world. So what different businesses are doing is bundling. So like it's a piano plus a music stand plus a stool, and that way you actually get around the standards that have been set by the music instrument industry for what the margins can be, and you've now sourced your own products and added that as a bundle, and you can then use that as a way to kind of offset some of your shipping costs too.
We've got time over here for just one more question, and then we'll move on to the next session, which is also in this room.
Thank you. My question is, so for the smaller business, you mentioned most of them are using WordPress, build their own website to sell things. I'm wondering what's the market share or percentage compared to the bigger companies, for example, Amazon, in terms
Of
revenue or
using platforms and stuff?
I mean, for example, for all the products sold online, how many percentage of them are actually just on Amazon, this big company? How many of them actually come from the smaller business or medium business, which is built on top of WordPress mostly?
Gotcha. Yeah. So half of Amazon's business is not owning all of the products in the world, so that's why they have in Seller Central, they want to actually extend their product catalog, because the more selection that they can have, the better experience that their shoppers have. So if you are a small business that has a unique product to you, that's when you figure out your UPCs and SKUs, and through Seller Central, you create an indexed item and own that product on Amazon. So then it can only come from you.
All right, well, that's it. Let's give Travis a round of applause.